time to see the last game where we'll finally see the seed for the third team and the fourth team. The Ratones on first, Nord second, but who's going to be following on their shadow? Verdant or Bulldogs? I'll open up the court right now to hear your positions and understand where we land.
Yeah, so I think this is... Well, it's what we've all been looking forward to today. Bulldogs and Verdant, I think, are the two best teams that we've got in the tiebreakers by a pretty significant margin. And I think if you look at the players that we've got facing off against each other on the Rift on a pound-for-pound basis, this should be a much closer contest. I think the Bulldogs, as they showed in their game earlier today, have a pretty decent understanding of how they want to move around the map and are a little bit more decisive. But in terms of the raw skill of the players, I do think there is a slight advantage going in favor of Verdant. So I think this really is going to be about, okay, how much can Verdant, with their skill and potentially with a little bit less organization, how well can they do versus a Bulldogs team that really seems to know what they want to do and when they want to do it?
Yeah, to me, this is going to be a lot about how both these teams approach the neutral objectives. I think laning is going to be a lot less lopsided than we've seen throughout the day so far. And it's going to have a lot less impact in terms of how, especially the early objectives will be set up. Obviously, we're yet to see draft, and that's going to be always a very big point. But name to name, pound for pound, like you said, significantly closer contest. For me, again, as we were highlighting just before we came into that break, Verdant definitely a little bit lacking in terms of the clinicalness of the decisions that were being made, and I don't feel like that was something that we saw out of Bulldog today. I think that their game against Lightside, they were pretty sharp and quick to adapt to things that were being thrown at them, but also plays that they were making proactively. That's something I think Verdant are going to have to be better at compared to their game one just now against Lightside here against Bulldog, because I think there's room for Bulldog, if their game one is anything to go by, for them to really punish and abuse some windows on Verdant. And I know I have mentioned Harbo a lot in the mid lane matchup, and how, especially last game, that was one that would maybe be abused even more. Admittedly, I think Ronaldo had a couple of moments in that game where mechanically he wasn't fully there on that Azir. So if there is going to be a little bit of, mechanical uncleanliness to be around his game, I think maybe for Bulldog, Kaming having such a strong, showing in his performance, maybe it's something where they want to try and put him on a high skill matchup, right? One where there's a little bit more risk to it, but if they can snowball it, they can really start to take over the map from there.
So I want to understand this a little bit better. What's the line we should be focusing? Because you're giving me some tips and hints that it should be Kaming versus Ronaldo, but aside from that, is that the line we should be focusing, or is there another one we should be on the lookout?
I think primarily yes.
The mid lane.
Kaming has...
Okay.
Alright, yeah, I said but, Archer. Okay.
He's
All right.
flipping again!
Oh, my lord. But I do think that top lane could potentially be very interesting, because both Papitero and Mirtek have shown flexibility in terms of the styles that they're willing to go towards. Both of these guys very, very competent on the boring tanks, but also willing to play carries. So it really comes down to what sort of philosophy these teams want to draft, whether we do want to see compositions that have 3 traditional carries, or whether they're actually willing to sort of handshake the top matchup a little bit more and play towards a more traditional ADC mid with a bridge jungle as their sort of raison d'etre for their drafts. So potentially top lane, okay, but it also could just be like Ornn versus Cassante and incredibly boring.
I don't know if we'll get Cassante coming into draft now.
Yeah.
Very excited. And Verdant are on red side. Interesting. I wonder how for me, the first thing that stands out now is like what's going to happen with the Rumble prio, because Verdant have been one of the teams that have really prioritized it quite heavily. Are Bulldog in return going to try and put Mytek on that? Because if I recall correctly, it was Mytek that had a really, really rough Rumble game. I think I want to say it was week 1. I don't think it was this week. As we fly through the bans, it's all ADCs, all of the early aggressive ADCs being banned out. There's the Rumble ban, so Bulldog not willing to pick that one up nice and early. Skarner has to be banned by Verdant. It's the mandated red side ban tax right now. There it is.
They learned.
Bulldog, to me now, it's, you want one of the ADs that are still left up and available. You want an engaged jungler. I was going to say the Vi, the Sejuani normally sometimes banned out on blue side. Going to be picked up here for Lulis.
I'm intrigued that they don't go towards the Wukong. Like,
Yeah.
the Vi, like, what she does, she is very, very good at, but the Wukong offers a lot more flexibility. And actually, No Name decided that he doesn't want to pick that up either. The Maokai fulfilling a bit more of a similar role to the Vi, but in a more team-wide sense. It is about just controlling so much space. And I don't anticipate that we're going to be seeing tank Jace this time around, obviously with the Unending Despair item currently disabled, I believe. So we're already seeing the building blocks here from Verdant of a composition that can poke you down significantly from long range, but also has a bit of long range engage that can then follow up on that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Bulldog are going to kind of try to overload and engage now as well on the opposite end, because when you're dealing with poke and space and control, you just have to try and force through it. Otherwise, you're just going to end up losing your health, losing resources over time if you can't get into those positions first. You've got the Vi there already. I'm thinking, you know, something a little bit more long range like the Rakan as opposed to a Rel, and I'm happy that they've got the read there from Bulldog, because again, just the range of engage on Rel is just a little bit too short. If Vi goes in as Rakan, you can follow, right? And that's always what you need on that side, and you've got the Aurora on top of that, so I'm glad they went in that direction. For Verdant, I'm actually surprised themselves if they don't want the Rel, because Rel is actually, as good as she is an engaged champion, she's also great at counter-engaging. And you know Bulldog with this kind of composition are already primed and set to go in, so okay, good. I'm happy. No! You had one job! But Nautilus still, I don't mind either, because to me, Nautilus, I think there's a lot of thought and focus on him being a primarily red champion, and he is, right? He is one champion that wants to go in consistently, but his CC is still very good and versatile at peeling, but also the lane matchup is where you kind of make your ends meet in terms of against the Rakan. Very difficult for Rakan to play out those early lanes sometimes, so if they can get Mishi on a very aggressive laner, though a lot of them have been banned out, maybe there's room for shutting down Exofeng, who, again, has been a very, very pivotal part of how Bulldog, you know, roll over some of their team fights, quite a few of them.
Look at the AD carry champion pool. It's just being removed. No one so far getting that pick. So the Kaiser, are you focusing down, double down? There you go. If you want to play AD carry, you might go to Smolder or even Teemo. I'm kidding. I hope not. But yeah, taking all the champions away, making Exofang and Mishi in a complicated life state.
Yeah, and I think these two AD carry bans really demonstrate that both teams are aware of what the other team wants, right? Verdant banning away the Kaiser, who is incredible at following up on these long-range engages from the Vi and the Rakan, and the Misfortune really just builds into that sort of zone control and long-range style that Verdant are looking to opt towards. The Ash ban again from Verdant. It's not necessarily a great follow-up ADC like the Kaiser, but she has got so much pick in her kit. But again, the Smolder, really good at controlling zones. So Verdant, they're going to opt into the Ezreal, very similar champion to the way that Jace is going to be played. It's about sitting back, waiting for the poke to land, and then arcane shifting forward when you've got an opportunity.
Yeah, repositioning space, the range, it's all there. It makes sense. Kog'Maw would be a little bit out there, but there's not enough engage that, you know, I'm super worried. Jinx is still also, though, I would have liked the Kog'Maw more, weirdly enough, than the Jinx. I think because you can at the very least play off, you know, your W, your R as well, higher range to really kind of contribute to some of the dive that I'm looking at with Bulldog composition. Jinx, though, I don't mind. It's very easy to kind of get first kill when you've got Vi, you've got Rakan, you've got Aurora, so reset's a very, very big threat for Verdant to have to think about. Ambessa as well. Solid lane matchup into the Jace, so I've seen a few times. It can be a little bit difficult to navigate occasionally, but we've seen this actually be flexed a lot into mid lane from time to time. So between Aurora and the Ambessa, there's still room for that to happen. The Akali potentially locked in here for I would imagine Ronaldo, but it could again also be flexed. So we've got a lot of room for potential, you know, skill matchups coming in through the solo lanes, and I'm excited to see where they actually decide to place them and who we're going to have on what champion.
Yeah, I actually kind of really like the Akali in this situation, because I look over at what Bulldogs have drafted and there isn't a real primary tank there. You're sort of just relying on the fact that you're going to be getting the first move on Verdant before you get poked down too much. And from that reset from the Jinx, you are just going to be able to take over the fight. But Akali kind of makes that a lot more difficult. You drop down the Shroud and all of a sudden, it's really difficult for Exofeng to actually step up and deal the damage, because he just knows he could be absolutely deleted in the blink of an eye, and it builds into the rest of what Verdant have got. It's not zone control in a traditional sense, but you're creating an area of the map that it's really, really scary for Bulldog to walk into, similar into the way that GP functions, right? Doesn't have a load of CC, but he creates areas of the map that you don't step in because you lose 2/3 of your health bar, and that's a lost team fight in most situations.
Well, the lanes are going to decide a lot on this match, but what will happen on the macro late game? We have to make that question as we toss it to the castles for the last game of Tiebreakers. It's do or die. Let's see who takes this one. Hipbrain and Fox, tell me, what do you think?
I think I actually like both of these drafts. I think today I've been a little bit more biased towards one draft or the other. What I will say is I can see the clear weaknesses and strengths in both of them. I think if that Akali goes unchecked, Jinx gets one shot and can't play the game, and then you lose your main damage dealer. You have a lot of CC, lots of ways to answer. If Kassim can like quickness Ronaldo as he jumps in, XFN just gets to free fire off and take over the fight. So I'm interested to see how they're going to play this. Foxy, I'm curious for your input for what you think here.
I'm thinking like we got some poke on the side of Verdant. It's the first time we've seen actually like a pretty significant amount of poke coming through from a team comp, because this should be a standard Jace, right? No tank Jace. I know that's a bit more meta right now.
Yeah.
But the Unending Despair is disabled, so that's very unlikely to come through.
He's got grasp.
He does have grasp.
He's in top lane matchup, yeah.
Yeah, against melee's grasp is still pretty meta. But yeah, I mean, we're expecting this guy at least to have some decently hitting shock blasts, basically, with this Jace. So when you combine that with Ed Qs as well, it's pretty significant. And when you look at the lineup of Bulldog, you don't really have a lot of tanky people. Like someone like Vi or Khan, like, yeah, they're kind of tanky, but they're not the same as like a Tom Kench, an Ornn, Sion, these kind of disgusting champs, right? So
yeah,
this poke should be quite significant, and that's something that we'll be keeping an eye on as we set up these fights.
Well,
in this game.
Their front line is very bruiser focused for the side of Bulldog. It's health more than like resistances, right? Like a lot of your items will give you health. If it is gonna be, you know, actual normal ADJs, you do have a window here as Bulldog because Jace is typically a champion who spikes on like 3 items. That's where you hit that like major stride and take over a game. So before those 3 items come in, the Qs are gonna hurt, but it's the 3 item spike is where they really start to slam. And Bulldog actually have quite a lot of damage early. I mean, Aurora does an incredible amount of damage early. She's a very bursty champion basically at all stages of the game, and yes, she scales well, but the early skirmishing power of Cayman on this Aurora is going to be really big. Lulus, the same thing. You know, a champion who actually just has a lot of early damage, and it's going to be hard to deal with that burst. XFN obviously is going to want some time and some items to really scale into the game, but he has a team that can set up that early damage, which can then allow a potential snowball. Now, Lulus has actually gone in for a early blue here. No Name has, I believe, spotted it out, but is currently smiteless. Lulish does have their smite, so they're just going to steal this blue. That was a really nice play from Lulish. Quick read, runs into that side of the jungle, and it really comes off the back of that ward that was put down at the chicken camp. It gave Lulish the information on where to invade and what they could do.
Exactly. So the ward in the chicken camp was pivotal to see where No Name was, but also he's got prio in mid and bot, right? So he can go wherever he wants, basically in the bot side jungle, and that's exactly what he does to get that camp advantage over No Name, who's off to a little bit of a sour start here. We'll be picking up this bot side crab, but Lulush still has the entirety of his top side jungle available here. I would be, yeah, I mean, Cayman is destroying mid right now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Lulush just do a full clear into the crab and recall. Sometimes, if you've done something like this path, you would just prioritize the crab early, right? So that you can, like, it's more contested camp. So you take that first and then you go into your jungle, which is more easy to defend. Which is actually something he looks like, yeah, he's going into now. So he has skipped his blue buff into the crab. Ronaldo is definitely struggling here, and he's going to need some help from No Name, so keep your eyes peeled when he TPs.
He's definitely having a bit of a miserable experience off that, but Lulish hasn't gone for the reset, so is down items to No Name, who has the amp tone and the boots, but Lulish still feeling comfortable to contest. He's got smite, so he could actually contest this. The crab is going to have to reset, and with Ronaldo being too chunked, there's no opportunity for Verdant to really go for this. I mean, Smite's now back up for No Name. Ronaldo's coming in, but Cayman can just look to land a little bit of burst here. Lands the Q, is able to get it. So I believe that's the electrocute proc. I think it was on cooldown, but still got the free proc off. So it's a whole heap of damage onto Ronaldo. And Cayman, he's low on mana, but he's okay on that front. Now we are seeing Obstinatus. Look for the hook. Does land it nicely there onto Exofang, who misses the zap. The ignite, I believe, was thrown down. Quickly cleansed by Exofang, so was able to answer out. But ultimately, nothing really gained. Just a bit of presence in that bot lane. But they were looking for a reset anyway. As Mishi has already been back to base. TP'd back to bot.
I want to take some time to really glaze Cayman while we're here.
Let's go for it.
Because honestly, this guy has just been solid. Like, he's been so good. Even in the games where Bulldog has struggled, he's still put on quality performances. I'll pause a little while here because Papadiro putting on the hurt to Mietic at range advantage. Mietic should be able to just walk away. Yeah, a lot of damage right there. That grass coming through as well for a little bit extra. But yeah, I mean, Cayman just even in matchups which he should lose, he's been able to find angles to win. You know, he's just been very solid, even against the top tier of mid laners as well. Like, I've been very impressed with what he's done here. And in this game right now as well, like, don't forget, this is our last game of the tiebreakers right now. Whoever wins this comes in third. Whoever loses will be fourth in the group. So there's a lot to play for right here, and a lot on the line for that seeding in the playoff.
Yeah, so for anyone who is maybe a little bit unaware of what's been going on in NLC, we actually only have 2 weeks of regular play, and then we just do a massive playoffs run with lower brackets and everything in the likes. Your placement in this basically seeding stage of the group, of the two groups, really impacts how that looks, because after this 2 weeks is up, there is worlds where people can get eliminated fairly early. You're going to have to hold that, though, because Cayman getting jumped onto. Void Grubs were secured in the middle of all of that one, as Cayman is just going to get a chunk off onto Ronaldo. But first objective secured there for Verdant. They've got that feat of strength. Well, that start towards their feat of strength stacking up for them.
Yeah, it's a good start there for Verdant. Especially, that's difficult when your mid laner's struggling, as Ronaldo has been in this matchup. Like, just with the pressure-wise, right? Like, constantly under pressure, constantly under tower. That changes a little bit now, though, that Ronaldo's level 6 and has access to the ultimate, because now there's suddenly a certain level of threat that Aurora has to be wary of. Like, up until this point, Aurora can do whatever kind of poke she wants to, because she knows Akali can't jump in and kill her in response. That has changed now that Ronaldo is level 6. We're getting a play towards the bot side, though, and potentially a play onto this dragon, too.
Well, they got the Between Worlds on Cayman, so it is there. Not spotted by a ward. Zap dodged by Mishi. Coming in with the Q. Obstinatus is going to open up. Immediately goes for the flash. Does get the hook. Lulish finds himself in a little bit of trouble as Obstinatus is going low. No ultimate for Exofang, so Obstinatus not in any danger here. No Name is in the area. There is a world where they go for the kill onto Exofang, who is cleanseless. Does have that flash. No Name with the Twisted Advance and there's that ultimate available. Could be a bit scary. Obstinatus immediately eating the rockets there from Exofang. And I think that's enough to scare Verdant away from just rushing this dragon down. Lulish goes back, grabs himself some jungle camps. It's going to take a sapling to the head. And let's just start up this dragon for his team.
Yeah, Vi is one of those champions that is very good at taking dragon. You can take it like from level 2 or 3, right? The denting blows, that passive in your W every third hit. There's a bunch of damage to the dragon. Plus, you're activating your passive for the shield as well to keep yourself healthy. So, yeah, very strong jungler at taking early dragons. And that is going to be the call here for Bulldog, as we get a cheeky little pause here. Just a little bit of lag coming through, as you could hear. Someone's disconnected, so
yeah, Mishi will be back soon, I hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed we'll get that one sorted and we can get back to our game.
Yeah, I hope so, because I mean, like we said, there's a lot of stakes for this game. No Alistair either, but there is a lot on the line. I had to get one in, man. I felt like
the thing is, my brain went there too. My brain went there too. So I just was like, what? No, yeah,
we're linked. Anyway. We are linked. We've been too tame today, mate. We've been way too tame.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been some good League of Legends. I think that's
the thing, right? Yeah, you're right. Because it's like, normally, if anyone hasn't watched me and Foxy cast, we spend most time just talking about anything but League of Legends. Like, we just have fun with it. We even promised Archer that would be menaces today, but the games have actually been bangers. So we've kind of not had a chance to have a natter and have a chat. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good though, mate.
How's bingo, mate? Is it good?
Bingo's cool. Yeah, I'm still not great. I still just getting.
It's because you're playing letters
wrecked.
and not numbers. That's your problem.
But I mean, I don't understand. I'm just there to try and find myself a wife. So
I mean, a lot of them are widowed, man. So I mean,
that's it. You don't have to commit for long, mate. And that inheritance. Woo. Yeah. So.
Oh my word.
Mate, I've got it all planned out. Don't you worry. Speaking of, I think so far, if we look at the goal difference that we saw, well, we can't look at it, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. We do have a slight lead here for Verdant over. That's correct, actually. I could be making that up, but I think that's correct. It's looked pretty good so far with this early lane phase, right, for Verdant, but they have had, especially in the mid side of the map, they've had that poke advantage, that pressure there with the Aurora into the Akali. On the flip side, Pappy for Bulldogs, he's been great up with that Jace too, so he's been okay. Yeah, we've just got.
Oh, we have our gold.
Literally dead even at 12.7k. I'm sure there's like 20 gold in it in Verdant's favor.
Oh, you're coping because you said there was a gold lead, and now
I did. Yeah, no, I did. But I'm completely lying apparently. So there's that.
I mean, it's early. It's early days. It's what the grubs for the dragon. So objectives are dragon will be secured momentarily because that's where we paused mid dragon take. But yeah, it'll be equal on that objective front. I'm interested to see where the first kind of major play comes down. I expect our second spawn of grubs is probably where we're going to see like a massive explosion of action, because that's when most people have their level 6, if not all. That's the point where everyone's going to roam up. They're going to want to get that objective, especially if you're Bulldog, because being down 3 grubs, then giving 6 grubs over is brutal. In fact, grubs, I think, were a major part of what cost Lightside quite heavily. Was, they were getting pushed onto with 5 to 6 grubs in both of their games, and towers melt when you've got that many grubs. So I expect that will probably be the major play that's going to be coming up once we get back to this one. But yeah, I'm interested to see how these two teams do compare, because I'm the only Bulldog believer, if I remember right, from our votes.
I think you're right. Yeah,
I think everyone went Verdant but me. So far, I'm 100% on my predictions. So
I'm 0% on my predictions so far.
Yikes.
I am just struggling today. I mean, I had high hopes for Lightside, dude. Like, they looked pretty good in the first 2 weeks. Even when they weren't winning, I still liked what I saw from them. I think they were growing as a team, and like the actual team play, they were exceeding the expectations based off of their roster lineup, right? So I thought, I've got high hopes, but they completely flopped today, unfortunately for them. On the other hand, Bulldog, I think, has been in a reverse position. I think they've struggled with early performances in this seeding stage here in the NLC.
Yeah.
Their first week was awful. Their second week, this week here, has looked better, and their first game today has looked solid. So this is more of what we wanted to see from Bulldog.
Yeah, the thing is we got to cover Group A on the first day of the tournament starting up, and I remember even at the time we saw teams, going up versus Las Fortunes and Nord, and even though they lost those games, they didn't look bad. They were still putting on a relatively decent performance. So it's interesting to see. We had a very, very scary group with both Nord and Las Fortunes in it, but we saw life in all of these teams, and they all went 1-3 during the regular stage, and this playoff is to decide the actual rest of the seeding. But I remember seeing the whole time, like, there's life in this team. There's life in this team. Every time I saw something in them I liked, and I'm excited to see, what they're going to look like once we get onto playoffs, because playoffs are such a different beast. Once you get to that point where you've got the true fearless best of series, it's going to be really interesting to see the growth that they have. And XFN was actually quite bigged up by the desk at the beginning of the day, and after game 1 I'm really starting to understand and get aboard that XFN hype train. He positioned incredibly, bar that one time he altered into the middle of everyone, and yes, he's on a less mobile ADC, but hyper carries really seem to suit XFN. He's somebody who is very good at positioning to just off to the edge of the fight where he can't be touched, and just pumping as much damage in as possible. And predictions were right. It looks like the teams are setting up for a play here on that middle part of the map for this grub spawn, as Obstinatus went for a hook onto Cayman, is going to get caught between worlds. Mishi able to E out, but Obstinatus starting to go a little bit low here. He's burning down, and that should just be first blood secured over to Cayman. Are they going to be able to look for more? Ronaldo's putting some pressure now onto Cayman, but he just has to jump away. XFeng now able to free fire away. Lulush going incredibly low, but it is just a 1-for-1 support for support. Both mid laners secure a kill.
Yeah, but here comes Mietic. That was the ultimate blown. Yeah, he whiffed on that. No name falling low. Mietic. Oh, that 1 HP for No Name. More or less. 1 hit there. Gonna survive that. Ruby Crystal putting in some work in his inventory. Yeah, that was not a great play from Mietic. So use ult and flash and whiff on everything. Meanwhile, Papitero is just loving life top with this Jace. Unfortunate series of events there for the Bulldog top.
That is a bit of a tilter because he's been having a rough game versus Jace. We know most top laners, I say most top laners because there's a few who enjoy it, but most top laners hate the Jace. They hate playing into it. And he's basically not been able to play the entire game and then finally gets the opportunity and whiffs it. So I'm sure that's eating at him a little bit. Looks like we're not donezo though. Everybody is starting to reconvene in the area. Ultimates have been burnt across the board. Obstinatus gets caught though by the Vial, and that should just be a kill given over. Cayman secures his second. Grubs should be a sure lockdown. No Name, if you can find the smite, we'll be able to deny the feet stack. Does look like there's a potential play breaking out on the top side though. It's Miek moving over, but no, back to Grubs, back to business. Ronaldo, no perfect execution available to him, and I think Verd just decided it's time to give it. Mishi may go for a cheeky steal, isn't able to land it. That should be the second stack of feat of strength over to the members of Bulldog. There it is, secured.
And Mietic finds Papitero. He's getting low.
Yeah, he's going down. Came in 3-0. All right. You really bigged him up.
You came in believing now, Jake.
I'm coming around. I was really unsold on Cayman after day one, and I'm coming back around to this guy. He is vastly improved.
Yeah, and I think when you consider coming into this split, people are like, who the hell is that? Who's that guy? Never heard of him. He's solid, mate. He's quality. He's quality mid laner here in the NLC. I think he's actually gonna, be one of the dark horses to give some of the more known, better known mid laners a run for their money. We've already seen him up against No Way, in my opinion, gapped No Way in a counter matchup in the favor of No Way. Like, he's clearly got something, something there that makes him a quality player, and watching him grow, even in just these 6 games so far at the start of this NLC, has been nothing short of a pleasant surprise. And here we are in this game here, in the final tiebreaker. 3-0-0 has neutralized Ronaldo too. Some of that is just the matchup, of course, but still solid stuff here from Kane.
Yeah, really nice. We'll have a look at that play once again. Dragon will be spawning up soon, so once we get at that, I'm sure we're going to be jumping back into more action. Papitero just disrespectful, to be honest. There is a fight breaking out here in the middle of this. XFang's already secured a kill onto No Name, and he is excited, firing away. Ronaldo gets caught out by the Zap. So we are going to see the healing coming in, but the teleport is joining Mietek, making his way into the fight. 1 kill onto No Name, and Dragon will be secured here for the side of Bulldog.
Yeah, Papitero just refuses to group up right now. He's on that 10 CS per minute dream, and he's sticking to it. So the trade-off here instead for Verdant, you lose that team fight, you'll lose the Dragon. But Mietic TP'd in, and Papitero stayed top and got Norwich. So as far as gold goes, it's not too bad for Verdant, and a little bit of communication there to say, listen, we're not going for this if you guys back off, so No Name didn't have to die. Then I think actually all in all that would have been pretty good right there for Verdant. But isn't going to work out, and we'll see though, right? This advantage for Papitero and topside, it has to be converted into something, right? It's not good enough in a vacuum. We'll see how it influences these team fights as we go on.
Well, there's definitely a team fight coming soon, because as you can see, we've got the Herald spawning up in 50 seconds. That is the last stack for Bulldog to unlock the boots. So I really expect to see a lot of action break out here. If Verdant can deny it, then it is down to the next Dragon to decide who gets that feat of strength for that tower going down. Papitero is here as well, which is crucial. He's got the biggest gold lead for his team. Only 600 gold, but sitting pretty comfortable with that Spear of Shojin in his pocket. There's Ronaldo facing Mirtek. Mirtek, I think you are in a bad position, my friend. I don't know why you're there.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of town right now. Maybe if we push through mid, we can save him. I don't know. We're taking this turret, trying to rush it down so we can move and give Mirtek a way to escape.
I think he might be.
Bulldog's just going to let it happen, though. Yeah.
This is bad timing. He jumps into the fight, does get a bit of danger. Space. Obstinate comes in. Mirtek alive! Kill secured already. On to one. Obstinatus goes down. Okay.
All right. All right. Who would have thought the champion with 6 dashes in her kit could have survived a slippery escape? All right. Nice. Perfectly done there by Mirtek to actually not only survive, but turn that fight against Verdant. Yeah, he gets to keep himself up. And the whole time, like, people are chasing onto him. Bulldog crucially, they break this mid lane tier 1. So he jumps in with the ult onto No Name, keeps spinning around the Eclipse shield. Yeah, it's a kill. It's a kill against Obstinatus, who has struggled today.
Whoa, Ronaldo! Verdant are also contesting the Herald off that. What a one-shot from Ronaldo!
All right, we may have jinxed Cayman a little bit here. He's done well, don't get me wrong, he's done well so far in this game, but I think Ronaldo might have just taken that a bit personally.
That was clean.
That is... I mean, that's how we play at Carly. We haven't seen the greatest of Carly performances today, but that one from Ronaldo just shows you the power of this champion.
Yeah, when you can get her combo buttery smooth like that, Ronaldo, it's so hard to play into. There's so much flipping and moving, hard to keep them pinned. And with the Herald secured now for Verdant, they can put pressure on mid lane or side lane for this dragon that is coming up in the next minute 55. The Sing isn't going to go down. He's going to get himself out of that one. But this is the next dragon which decides the feat of strength. It is going to be a very, very big fight for this one.
Exactly. Like, it's either going to be if Bulldog can take a turret. Did they already take a turret? Oh, it was first turret.
Verdant got first turret.
Yeah, so that's done. So it's literally just the next objective. You're right, Jake.
Yeah.
So it is this dragon that's coming up in 1 minute 30. Assuming it's not going to be an Atakan, which is probably going to be that dragon, will be a little bit easier to secure. Cayman sees this happening. He knows this is coming down.
Sings in the area. Cayman does almost got that Between Worlds back up. Lulish is in the area as well. I think this dive is going to be very hard to pull off. Ronaldo's losing a fair amount of HP. There's the Between Worlds. Ronaldo flashless. They're going to throw the ult onto Cayman, but they're going to follow up onto No Name. Rocket gets blocked by Obstinatus, and Mirtek has joined into the fight. Dashing forwards, able to secure a kill onto No Name. And now they're just going to continue the assault on Ronaldo. He's able to shift away, but he's followed by Mirtek. They continue the chase, and Cayman gets his revenge. Shut down in his pocket. Tower, dragon in 40 seconds. Bulldog, they fight back hard.
And Papatiro, again, refuses to play with the team. That was another Mirtek engage, where the top laner for Bulldog is there, influencing the play, and Papatiro on that Jace doesn't join in. The unfortunate situation, though, was he was at his tower, right? His tier 1 tower, topside, when that play was happening. Yes, he's now breaking down the inner turret of that top lane, but look, he was so slow getting there, didn't even do any damage to it. Like, nothing going down, like... There's just no real value right here to stay in that top side. And I mean, I don't know whether... I'm not trying to specifically criticize Papatiro for not teleporting, but between Papatiro not TPing and Verdant still being in position where they're too far up to get caught out in the 4v5, something needs to change here, so they're either playing more passive or they're getting Papatiro into the play.
All right, well, Verdant actually got the first move on this dragon. They're going to start it up. Came in the area, but this is, remember, this is the feat of strength dragon. This decides everything, and Bulldog, again, like we saw in their first game of the day, too slow to the play. They're going to look for a fight, though, immediately breaking it out. Their jungler's just popped. Lulish goes down. Ronaldo goes for the flip onto Cayman, but he's going to find himself knocked up. Dashes forward, that perfect execution once again. Now Wexafeng is going to lose a lot of health. Has to flash. Bulldog are far too slow to go for objectives.
Yeah, they were not there in time, as you pointed out. And for Lulu specifically, that's a question mark ping play. He like flashed in the melee range, instantly died. He did not have the, what's it called now? Cease and desist? I think it's called that. I don't know. The ultimate, whatever it is.
Min.
He just didn't have it up. Flashed in and died. So I think the play was to do a flash engage with ult, but Atakan's been started up now for Verdant.
Shredding those resistances. Losing a fair amount of HP. Miatek does have that ultimate if he wants to go for the engage, but with Kasing low is scary. And look at Ronaldo just off on the bottom side of the screen, looking to jump in and assassinate Kasing, or came in if he can. Exofeng also getting grouped up onto. Ronaldo jumps forward. There's the lockdown into the lockdown from the tree. Ronaldo invisible in the middle of the fight as Exofeng incredibly low. Shuriken flip goes a little bit wide. They're able to secure 2 kills though onto Cayman as he chases forwards. There's the kill for the Jinx. There's the Atakan. Bulldog this time we're able to rotate in time, and they secure themselves the objective. Revives are theirs.
3 kills for 0 in favor of Bulldog, and you've got to feel for Ronaldo in that fight. He had 4 people on top of him, still nearly got a kill. But if that's not enough to get you a win in this fight, then I don't know, man. Look at him. He's lurking at the right-hand side of your screen, going for this engage. And he draws so much attention that you have to be able to win that team fight. He does his job perfectly. Atakan, meanwhile, is doing a lot of damage to Verdant. We finally pull that trigger. It looked good here for Verdant. Like, look at Ronaldo right now. He's drawn the attention of Lulush, Exofang, Kasing. They're all on him. But unfortunately, from the other side of the fight, Verdant can't do anything. They can't win on that top side. It's just not enough. And as a result, losing the fight. And more crucially, losing that Atakan.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is if you're the team starting Atakan, you need to turn off quick. But they were kind of resting on their laurels, waiting for the perfect Ronaldo window. And they lost too much health, they lost too many resistances, and they got absolutely obliterated. And the Herald was wasted, most crucially. However, Bulldog, they are down on that little objective. As Papatero looks to break away. Miatek throws the ultimate out. Does get cancelled, so he's A-okay. As Ronaldo secures the tower bot side. Mid tower still standing for the side of Bulldog. This is a really good push.
Papatero, stop going for your 10 CS per minute, bro. Stop. Mate, come off it, mate. He's going for the Krugs, dude. You had to take the turret, bro. Honestly, it's not the biggest wave, but he had like 4 or 5 minions there. You can at least force someone to come to you. But yeah, Bulldog with a perfect response now. Just group up in the mid. Mishi!
Oh, Mishi's getting chased down. He's knocked up. The hook comes in. But the dunk from Exofang with the rocket secures the kill. Looks like they can siege onto the base. They still got the revives. Again, it is a costless attempt. If you die here, it costs you nothing other than giving 100 gold per death over to the enemy. Down goes the inhibitor at 23 minutes, and now they're going to continue to attack onto No Name, who loses a lot of HP. Came in, no ultimate available, but with No Name low, they're just going to go in. Knock up onto 2 from Kasing. They find the knock up. There's going to be 1 withdraw, but they secure a kill in response. They're going to continue onto Obstinatus. More withdrawals coming in. Miatek, the only one left standing. So they're going to go for that desperation prey. They're out of there, but they got the inhib. They did what they needed to do off it.
That's so stupid, mate. Honestly, how dumb is that Atakan buff, though? They just dove like absolute Iron tier gamers.
Yeah.
Like, what's worse than Iron? It's less than, it's Moss, mate. That was a Moss tier play under that turret. The thing is, they don't have to care at all about the nuances of playing League of Legends there. They just run at the enemy team because they're going to withdraw anyway. It's ridiculous. I feel ridiculated. I hate it.
Do you remember when Chemtech Soul came out? I like that.
Yeah.
Somehow when Atakan was getting planned, Chemtech Soul didn't get brought up as like a reason for maybe not giving a revive.
It's, yeah, honestly, you think maybe there was some kind of evidence past history that they could have looked at. It needs a change, dude. It needs a change. I don't like that one bit. And Verdant clearly didn't like that either. That is just not fair. Bulldog now with a fairly sizable difference gold lead wise, 4,000 now. It's been quite close in gold between these two teams and very back and forth in general, but Bulldog's starting to pull away from this one. Fortunately for Verdant though, there is no Dragon Soul on the cards, taking that that Cloud Drake Soul. It's not, sorry, Chemtech Drake Soul. It's not happening just yet, so yeah, we have a bit of time here if you're Verdant to still buy your time and get back into the game and scale.
Absolutely. Well, getting back on to the Dragon. Bulldog going to be able to secure their third for themselves off the back of this one. There's not really any contestants going to be coming in. Verdant left scratching their heads. Bulldog, a lot of non-believers from the casting team today, but these guys are performing quite effectively right now. 3,000 gold up as they are looking to, well, probably just long the game out a little bit and get themselves to a position where they can go for Baron. Wait for a good window to be presented for themselves.
Honestly, like, so after week 1, I did a recap of how the teams performed, and for Bulldog, I slated them. And I was like, listen, you guys sucked. You sucked, and I got dragged on Twitter for it. All of Bulldog's fans came out, and they were all very passionate about disagreeing with my stance on the team. I stand by it. Week 1, you guys were cheeks, mate. But coming into week 2 now...
They weren't a Bulldog, they were a Chihuahua.
It was not pretty. It was not pretty. But this has been such a turnaround in performance, right? And again, for me at least, my expectations of this team are much more what we're seeing now. It's been quality watching them play.
Oh.
And Kasing dashing away and able to get into the camera for Mishi's death screen. He's fallen down.
And Mirtek and Lula should be able to take this top tier 2. Ronaldo just on wave clear duty right now. They've got a big enough wave. They're actually letting the wave die out, so I don't think they're willing to full commit. But I say this, massive ultimate thrown down here from Cayman. He's able to ping away to safety. Shuriken flip from Ronaldo comes in, but they find the knock up of the no-name. Following up for the kill onto Cayman, as now Obstinatus goes for the hook, able to land it. Ronaldo's continuing to assert pressure onto Exifang. He gets a shield off, but it doesn't go down. A 4 HP Jinx survives, finds the kill, finds the tower. The shot comes in from Papatero. And I actually think Jinx being dead might just save this game here for the side of Verdant for now. As Bulldog able to make their way out. Shock Blast comes in once again. He's found the 2 major carries. Mirtek continues to apply pressure on the Papatero. They do make their way away.
I mean, Nash is
Bulldog,
up.
they got no Jinx or Aurora.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So if Verdant here with those death times, Ronaldo spawning in 10 seconds has the teleport. If you're Verdant, you just bomb it towards Nash right now. This is your chance back into the game. Those 2 shock blasts. Papatero took his time with getting involved in this game, but when he got involved, he really found the mark. I mean, he's gone back bot side with no teleport. I think this is a mistake. I feel like if you're Verdant, like you have it's not a great window, but considering the game state, this is probably it's an opportunity that I feel like you had to take here. They were gonna not opt into it, and instead just gonna chill out as is. But Verdant under this turret, struggling to even hold their base. It's all looking tough, you know, when Bulldog can dive you in this situation. But keep your eyes on Exifang. It's a great flash, and Ronaldo does his best to bring him down, but that locket shield was huge right there to keep him up. And then Papatero comes in with that Jace. The shock blast on the side. Lore accurate gameplay right there. Smiting the Jinx from Jace. Well, he actually lands 3 in a row, doesn't he? And now it's the empowered shock blast. Yeah, get a little bit of help from Ez too.
It's beautiful. Honestly, here's the thing though. Came in very strong. High CS. Being a bit of a menace in the side lanes. MVP of last game for me. He played amazing on the Rumble.
Yeah, I agree.
He's playing well, but he's also playing a little bit too selfish. I think his team are bleeding out too much for Papatero's games. And came in, he's going to go in with a Between Worlds. No name will fall to the rocket. The teleport is too slow, and that is 1 locked down Akali. Ronaldo falls. Exifang looks for another zap. 2 members of Verdant down, and Bulldog going to continue to try and apply some pressure to this bot lane. Looks like that's not going to be the case. They're just going to back off, and then Papatero lands the good rocket. Mirtek finds the opening and shuts down Mishi, sliding into Papatero. Down he goes. The Jinx excited. Obstinatus will fall. That's the ace. That should be the game, and Bulldog have done it. What an opening for themselves. What a game for Bulldog. Securing himself 3rd in Group A. Everybody doubted them, but today they showed up to play. Today they came together. The Bulldog has got bite.
And what fashion they did it as well. This was a team coming into the NLC in week 1, they were limping. They didn't look good at all. They barely scraped through with a 1-1 record. And now in this week 2, what a turnaround for Bulldog. Like, this is a quality team right here. And they're well-deserved 3rd place in Group A.
Yeah, absolutely amazing performance from Bulldog. They look like a real good dark horse going into playoffs. Yeah, I'm very excited by them. Yes, they definitely, compared to like some of the Group B teams where it was a lot more kind of like locked in and teams looked more comfortable in their positions, the side of Bulldog to like come through into this, be 1-3, tied to 2 other teams, and honestly demolish the competition today. They looked incredible. I'm super excited by their future, and you've done it, Foxy. You sold me on Cayman. I am very, very much a fan. XFN as well, honestly. Incredible position as an AD carry. He's really good at positioning in team fights. And I think team fights are Bulldog's strength. There's a lot they need to work on when they go up versus the likes of Ruddy Sack and Los Ratones. I can't believe I forgot their name. Of all teams to forget the name of. But, you know, they're looking absolutely amazing. Amazing day for them, but we're going to throw it over to the desk to break that down, and then they can wrap it all up. So we'll see you in a moment. That was...
You've forgot... Oh, well, replay straight off the bat.
Yep. The Adventures of Mietic and champion design in current year.
A little bit of oh, hold on. I didn't see that part.
I didn't see this.
You managed to make it up there. Yeah, truly invigorating stuff from Mietic and the Sunburst champion as a whole. And yeah, I think if Fate's going to be on your side for that kind of play, it might be on your side for the rest of the game, and it just was. Yeah.
Let's look into this one, okay? Because Obstinato's little trick was interesting, but what happened? Because, I mean, come on, Verdant had the game, but he said a middle cut, and I even asked, like, are you a history teacher? Because it's gonna happen. The Atakan.
Bro,
gives,
the Atakan fight. It's bitten Verdant in the ass before, and I think Jamada brought up a really good point in the green room. I'm going to give him full credit to this. Atakan completely flips the traditional approach to objectives because it does so much damage, because it is so much of a threat itself. If you're on it first, and the opponents have got a reasonable amount of HP, they can just take the fight against you. Verdant, I think the way they were trying to approach this was a good idea with Ronaldo going on this flank, but the front line collapses too early, and so many people can focus down onto the Akali when she's trying to do her thing in the back line that she ends up going down as well. Verdant, they weren't winning that game ostensibly, but they were in a decent enough spot, but as soon as those kills go down in favor of Bulldog, it really just felt like that was the go button, and then they never looked back.
I think the other important point too about the Atakan buff, where it kind of breaks that general traditional rule that we have around objectives and sort of poke or zone control compositions, is out of all of the buffs, it's the most unorthodox to actually set up for and play around, because it's almost always got 3-4 entrances really, you know, on both sides. The bottom side is technically worse. You've got both tri-brushes, the actual bottom lane, and then the river itself, and then top side, the top entrance from blue is a bit more, you know, offendable as a choke, I suppose, but otherwise still you're working with 3 entrances. Teams just haven't really gotten used to setting up around, you know, that combo, I feel like. And obviously in the case of Verdant setup this game, it was a lot more slapdash than it really could have afforded to have been. And compositionally, you know, what Bulldog are running is, you know, if we're kind of going back to a rock, paper, scissors based sort of style of draft, does counter what Verdant are doing. So their setup has to be pristine. Otherwise, again, it's very easy to get run over around the buff that's going to deal so much damage to you if you're already on top of it whilst the fight kicks off.
And I think it really speaks to the way we were sort of thinking about these teams when we were coming into this game. We were going, okay, Verdant, on paper, maybe we are looking at better players, but the coordination, the cohesion, the understanding of how they want to game is not there yet. And that was something that I think Bulldogs really showed and was really emphasized by this game. This was technically a stomp, but it didn't feel like it through the early stages. It was very slow paced, it was very, very measured, but successive correct decisions from Bulldog once they hit the mid game meant that it made this game, once we got to the end of it, once we saw that Nexus fall, look like it hadn't been close at any point.
Yet again, we highlight the fact that if you see a lot of macro mistakes, slow it down. There's a reasonable approachability towards these games, but these are best of one as well. But jumping into best of threes, and things might change heavily. Do you believe that this is gonna, like, fearless draft and all that, adapting to champion pool, this could turn it around? No.
I think I'll speak on it because I've experienced a fair bit of fearless draft, hard fearless as well, but also like the softer fearless in the best of threes. I think there's going to be this weird middle ground where, because it's hard fearless, I'm very inclined to say yes, but best of three, a best of three can be over in 2 games.
Yeah.
Right. There are often enough meta champions, even with the 10 bans that fly through every game, that likely the answer is kind of a bit of a resounding no. Right, I think once we go very deep into the tournament, and I want to say it's the final 3 best ofs in our format, or maybe it's
best of 5.
Yeah. Once we hit the best of 5 portion, right? I think it's all of the losers bracket. Actually, if I recall correctly, I'm saying the later parts, and then the deeper parts of the upper bracket. That's when it's going to matter a lot, right? So I think these opening rounds, round 1, round 2 of playoffs. I don't think much is going to change, but once we start getting deep, right, and then once you start getting into like game 4, game 5 of these hard fearless, that's when you're really going to have to look at teams and say, all right, what do you really have in your locker to throw out curveballs? And that's when new strategies are born.
I agree. Let's see what happens as soon as we jump there, but for now, let's talk with someone who was capable of providing enough damage to bring the team into good sports, and there he is, Exafang. Pleasure to meet you. Right off the bat, I enjoy the control alt delete on that wall. Were you concerned at the beginning of the game that things were getting out of your grasp?
No, I guess, because I guess a bit though. I'm not sure how to answer that exactly, but I just let my team carry me, because I couldn't really do much against their team, like Nautilus, Akali. Felt a bit hard to play the game mid to late game, so yeah.
Not an easy one to pilot, I understand, and with this in mind, you get the seed, which is not at the bottom. You get a comfortable one at that. Are you happy in the position you end up in the groups, or you get that feeling of we could have been more?
We definitely could have been more. Like, we could have won the last 2 games last day. Like, I started really good, but unfortunately we couldn't win those games. I got a bit I felt a bit bad about this because I started really ahead and I couldn't carry the games by my side. So yeah, I felt a bit sad.
And going from day 2 to day 3 with that sentiment, how were you able to wrap your head around hey, it is what it is, we move forward, we have to win tomorrow? How can you just reset and move on?
Yeah, definitely mental reset, because you shouldn't be mad about past things, in my opinion. You should just go forward and don't care about the past and just win. You have to mentality to win.
Sounds good. Hey, pleasure to meet you, Exafang. Best of luck towards playoffs, and let's see who's going to be the champion at the end of the split. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
There he is. You got to reset. You got to move on, and they are in a better position than they started on this tiebreaker day, which is a complicated one, especially when you're playing a champion that it's going to be hard to pilot in today's meta.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I've really liked from Exafang in particular is that it's not just been one style of ADC that we've seen from. We've seen stuff like the Callista, which wants to get very aggressive, but then the willingness to bring out the Jinx, playing the Varus as well, Ezreal, champions that operate in very different ways when you are so new to competitive is a really positive thing to see. especially from someone that has also got the Draven in his back pocket, which is absolutely cracked. Having a wide, varied champion pool is really important once we start getting to the later stages of playoffs. We've got this true fearless format going on, and you don't want to be looking at your ADC at game 3 going, hold on, there's nothing left that you can play. This is a guy that brings his team's options. That's so impressive to see from someone so young.
Let's move on with this one as we are finally ready to see what's going to happen. Results for today: Bulldogs take the first one versus Light Side. Verdant then are capable of making the same achievement, but at the end of the day, it's Bulldogs taking the 3rd seed on Group A, finally completed. Bulldogs with this take the 3rd seed. Verdant on the 4th one. I'm getting confused. Is it? Yeah. It is. I was getting confused. I got a lot of information. I was like, wait, I'm getting lost in this one by myself. They're comfortable. 3rd seed Bulldogs, Verdant 4th seed. And now we move on into playoffs. Do we have the bracket? Because things are now getting interesting. Okay. Ooh. It's a lot to take in. Let's shit down a bit. Ratones will face off DMG on January 29. Ready Sec will take on Bulldogs on the same day. Day afterwards going to be Rich Gang versus Verdant and North versus Venom Crest. This is going to be the upper bracket. The teams that ended in the last position of groups are sent immediately to the lower bracket, and they'll have to survive the onslaught from February 5 and February 7 moving forward. It's a tough place to be in, but when you look into the top of the bracket, both of you, let's start with you, Jamad, if possible. The matches are not easy as well on this first round.
Hey man, at least DMG have the Guardian Angel, right?
Yeah, they've got Atakan.
Yeah, they've got Atakan, actually, as a matter of fact. Yeah, definitely some lopsided ones, but as to be expected, it's first round, it's best of 3 as well, so it's not like you have to go through this big grueling series. You could very easily try and come up with something, 2 games in a row, or 2 out of 3, right? And definitely make an upset happen. How likely is that upset to happen? I think you can probably read my face right now. But, again, nature of the format, and at the end of the day, double bracket elimination rather is always still going to provide you with very, very exciting matchups, especially along that losers bracket. It's a very lengthy one because it's a 10-team bracket. Teams are going to have to be fighting on edge for a very, very long time. So I'm excited, especially that first day. Yes, it looks very lopsided in terms of matchup, but it's always the days that you expect the least to where you get surprised.
Yeah, I do think there are angles though. Like we look at a team like Ruddy Sack going up against Bulldogs, and I think the thing that we've really praised Bulldogs for is they've got a really good understanding of what they want to be doing in the game. And if we're looking at Ruddy Sack, maybe that's been their biggest deficiency. Rich Gang versus Verdant as well. I think Verdant looked rough in this game, but there's still a pretty significant caliber of players on that team, and depending on how effective this next week of practice and scrimming is for them, maybe they can come in at a much higher level. And obviously every team in that upper bracket has the safety of the lower bracket, so there's no one that's going to be eliminated on those game days. But if you can snipe one of these higher seeds coming in right at the beginning, that's going to be a massive boost of confidence, and that momentum can push you really far along these deep brackets.
And I know NLC has changed a lot with these new teams, but the reality remains that NLC is an underdog league. Most often than not, it's the underdog who takes the crown at the end, so keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that you could have the crown, or maybe just a beautiful chair. All you have to do is head onto Twitter, NLC LOL. Follow Arozzi Official on Instagram, and then like and retweet the post. I'm saying this because today is the last day you can do this. Obviously, we're going to try and give you more things as we move on, but we're not sure what's going to happen. All I do know is this is your opportunity to take the chair today. Just do me a favor, head onto Twitter, head onto Instagram, retweet it, and please be home when they try to deliver the chair. Be a reasonable human being and pick up the phone when they call you. Don't go all sleepy troublemaker and pick up the phone! Middle cuts?
I don't feel like that was justified, Archeron. I feel like it's perfectly reasonable. Like someone out there, like maybe they've been working a long week and they just happen to be asleep when the delivery. It happens. It happens to anyone, Archer.
You know what? I give you that. Okay, I surrender. I'm gonna give you reason on this one. And you know where's the best place to sleep? On this beautiful chair, because you can do this. You could be sleeping like this on the most comfortable chair I've sat in my life. Keep that in mind as we return next week for playoffs of NLC Winter Split 2025. Don't miss a beat and don't miss the phone. Until then, keep climbing. I love you very much. It's not the same without you, and I'll see you soon.